symbolism of hairstyles in West Africa, particularly in Nigeria. Africans used the hairstyles as a form of cultural resistance. Keeping their hair was also the ticket to freedom and ultimately survival. The millennial generation and Gen Z also frown upon hairstyling for the menfolk, despite its popularity a century back. In the late 90s, hair extensions and wigs came into Nigeria. Fast forward to 2026, attachments, wigs, and hair conditioners and relaxers are the trend of the day. For some female Nigerians, hair relaxers are the only possible solutions, while others prefer to use hair straightening hairstyles like Kiko to straighten their hair. Kiko was used to straighten thick and curly hair. It makes it longer and more straightened. The question now is, were these women simply relaxing their hair to follow trends, or did they do it to soften their hair and ease their struggles?
Yes, type. We have the hairstyle that we have is by the Patewo, Koroba, the Kojusoko. The new one that we are doing now is knotless braid, Ghana with dread.
Beyond beauty, it is important for girls, ladies, and women to understand the origins of our tradition and appreciate the struggles of our ancestors in preserving our culture. Zainab Wahab, Agidigbo FM News.
The Oyo State government has reordered the reopening of schools in Orire, Oyo East, Surulere, and Olorun-Shogo local government areas on Monday, following the deployment of additional security operatives to the affected zones. As parents and guardians are strongly urged to remain calm as security agencies have assured the government of sustained surveillance and protection across all identified communities. Speaking on behalf of the Oyo State Universal Basic Education Board, Oyo Subab, the executive chairman, Dr. Nureni Adiremi Adeniran, said the latest decision follows a comprehensive security review carried out after the unfortunate incident at Aro Eshiele community. Dr. Adeniran noted that the safety of pupils and teachers remain a top priority of the state government, adding that the coordinated efforts of security operatives working under directives of the Commissioner of Police have significantly strengthened safety measures in schools across the axis, emphasizing that learning activities can now resume without fear as the government continues to monitor the situation closely in partnership with local authorities and community stakeholders. Dr. Adeniran, while reaffirming the government's commitment to protecting every child within the school system, appealed to parents to not to panic or spread unverified information, assuring that the state will continue to provide timely updates as necessary. The chief imam of Agidigbo FM Central Mosque, Alhaji Zakaria Yunus, popularly known as Baba Baba, has urged the congregation and the Muslim Ummah at large to embrace loyalty as a core human virtue. In today's sermon, the Imam enjoined Muslim faithful to draw lessons from the life of Prophet Ibrahim and his wife, highlighting the mutual loyalty to each other and to Allah.
May Allah be with us. We should be loyal to each other. The master, the apprentice should be loyal to the master. Then the husband should be loyal to the wife. Likewise, the wife should be loyal to her husband. So then the children should be loyal to their parents, while the parents should also be loyal to the children. The friends should be loyal to each other. This is when
Concluding his sermon, Imam Yunus advised followers to remain loyal to their leaders and for husbands and wives to uphold loyalty to one another. Now it's time to link up with our United Kingdom studio for the foreign news.
ìròyìn rẹ̀ láti àgídìgbò.
News from Kule Amza Studio, Agidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi. President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, has concluded a whirlwind visit to China and heading back today after a meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping and claimed he and Xi have agreed on how they want to end the Iran war. Trump said the two sides struck fantastic trade deals during the incredible visit, and China said it welcomed the start of dialogue on the Middle East and called for reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump further stressed that the two leaders settled a lot of different problems that other people wouldn't have been able to solve before setting off on Air Force One for Washington earlier today. Xi thereby hailed the two-day summit as historic, adding that together they affirmed the new position of a constructive, strategic, and stable China-US relationship. And that is the news from Kele Amza Studio. Agidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi.
News from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am OLUWATOSIN Soya. The United States is reportedly preparing to indict Raul Castro, the 94-year-old former Cuban president and brother of Fidel Castro, over the 1996 shutdown of planes operated by the humanitarian organization Brothers to the Rescue. U.S. officials say the case, which still requires grand jury approval, would center on the death resulting from the attack nearly 30 years ago. The possible indictment comes amid growing pressure from the Trump administration on the Cuban government. The U.S. has threatened steep tariffs on countries exporting oil to Cuba, contributing to worsening energy shortages on the island. President Trump has also called for major political and economic reforms in Cuba, while suggesting closer U.S. involvement in the country's future. Tensions between Washington and Havana intensified earlier this year after the U.S. military removed the Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro from power and transferred him to New York to face drug-related charges. Venezuela had long been one of Cuba's strongest regional allies. Africa's top public health organization confirmed Friday that an Ebola outbreak has been detected in the Democratic Republic of Congo's Ituri province, where 65 deaths have been reported among 246 suspected cases. The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced that it is organizing an emergency meeting with officials from Congo, Uganda, South Sudan, and international partners to strengthen cross-border monitoring, preparedness, and response efforts. According to the agency, most of the suspected cases and fatalities have occurred in the Mongwalu and Wampara health zones. 4 deaths have been linked to laboratory-confirmed Ebola cases, while additional suspected infections have been reported in Bunia, the provincial capital. Preliminary investigations suggest the outbreak may involve a non-Zaire strain of the Ebola virus. Further genetic sequencing is currently being conducted to better identify and understand the strain. And that ends the news from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am OLUWATOSIN Soya.
In the exciting world of sports, Nigeria's weightlifter Taiwo Liadi has expressed joy and gratitude after winning 3 gold medals at the African Senior Weightlifting Championship in Ismailia, Egypt, describing the achievement as one of the proudest moments of her career. Competing in the women's 77-kilogram category, Liadi finished with a total lift of 243 kilograms to secure ahead of Egypt's Rafida Fatih Taha, who recorded 227 kilograms, while Tunisia's Eva Osley settled for bronze with 199 kilograms. Reacting to her performance, the Nigerian star said her success was made possible through faith, hard work, and the support of those who stood by her throughout the competition. Liadi further thanked the federal government for creating an enabling environment for Nigerian athletes to excel internationally. She specifically acknowledged the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Malam Shehu Diko, and the Director General of the NSC, Bukola Olokmade, for their support towards the team's participation at the championship. To wrap up the news this evening, here's a recap of the headlines. JAMB activates change of institution, begins result slip printing on Monday. Oyo government orders reopening of schools in Orire neighboring communities on Monday. Trump says no Tehran pledge to Xi Jinping as he rules out seeking war. Africa CDC announces new Ebola outbreak in Congo, 65 suspected death. Taiwo Liadi grateful after dominant weightlifting performance in Egypt. And before we go this evening, here is a quick tip. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Finally, we have come to the end of the news around the world on the most listened to radio station at Gidigbo 88.7 FM, Ibadan. I am OLUWATOSIN, OLOGUN. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
News is information, and information is power. At Agidigbo 88.7 FM, we bring the news from top to bottom.
The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, has called for continuous collaboration.
We bring you reports from Oyo State.
The Oyo State House of Assembly has called for thorough investigation.
Southwest Nigeria and the rest of the world.
Has clarified that the body did not receive any cash support from international development.
Trust us to keep you informed every hour, every day.